first start
This
off.
meeting is being recorded.
Francisco, thank you very much for joining us. For others who don't know, Francisco Navarro from CDL Mercadero, I think is the name of the firm, in Costa Rica, where I'm sure you're enjoying the sunshine, where most of us, as I look around the table here, are probably in snow.
That's right.
But
we have a nice weather today here.
Today, and I think every day, or at least that's my impression.
I was telling Francisco last week we were doing a CORFAC 101. Staff was doing a CORFAC 101 presentation for Francisco and his team, just letting them know about the resources available through CORFAC. And when we announced to all of CORFAC that they were joining, I probably had 5 or 6 emails from people saying, future CORFAC conference in Costa Rica.
Everybody.
Good idea.
Hey, Morella.
Hello.
Hi,
I think we're just
Daniel.
waiting for a few more people to join us. I know the folks from the British Isles intend to join us, Charlie, Alistair, and Ian. Actually, I think I just misspoke when I said British Isles, right? Didn't I insult Ireland now? I didn't mean to do so, sorry. From England and from Ireland, I must apologize.
Yeah, we
I
had,
actually am, sorry?
no, I was just going to say we had a very good response. So hopefully.
I thought we could give people just a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
So that we have a great audience for Antonio, who it's great to see. Haven't seen you for a while. And I do know that that others intend to join. I only know of 3 people who said that they may not or join late, and that is Max, obviously, Marina in St. Petersburg said that she may be a little bit late, so we shouldn't wait for her. And Bill, I know, was having a showing which he was going to try to fit us in maybe on the way there. So, but the rest of us should still be here, and in particular, the folks from England and Ireland, maybe we could just give them.
Yeah. Alistair and Charlie are here.
Oh, they are.
Mark Van Kampen from Friss is also here.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you. I don't see everyone, so that's great. Welcome, Mark, and Charlie and Alistair.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Oh, Bill is
Nice to be here. Nice meeting you.
I'm just letting Bill in now.
Okay, great. So is it the case that it's actually just Ian that we're waiting for?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what the Irish are like. They're always half an hour behind everybody else.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alistair. But he's your partner a little bit today for the second segment, I believe, of the call. So so I'm sure he'll show up. But why don't we begin then? In any event, the call will last not more than an hour. It's our first call of 2022. It's the CORFAC International European Member Update, as Jonathan has on the screen for us. And the plan for today is first for Antonio to give us a view or a survey of the Italian market. And then we have a couple of investment sales things to discuss. Also, Antonio has a few products to show us as well. Alistair and Ian will also share some thoughts on a project that they've been working on. Other things that we thought to update you on, of course, are the upcoming events that are happening within CORFAC in the next few months, and certainly on some potential affiliate discussions. But I'd like first to formally welcome Francisco Navro from Costa Rica, the newest CORFAC affiliate. And would you be so kind, Francisco, just to give us a very brief introduction of yourself and your firm? I think it's a great opportunity to speak to a number of CORFAC members and let them know about what you're doing.
All right. Well, thank you very much. As you mentioned, we just joined CORFAC this month of January, and our office is it's a small office. We have one broker per market, one industrial, one commercial, one office market. We do some residential stuff, but not that much of it. And we do have a research department, which we do also appraisals. And we're pretty young. I mean, I'm 40, and I think I'm the oldest in the firm. So yeah, we're a young firm right now, and really looking forward to do business with all other CORFAC members. And well, thank you very much for letting me attend this European meeting.
We're most happy to have you join us. Welcome very much, and we're looking happy to meet you in person, and of course to follow up and have many occasions to work together with you. I'd also like to just take a moment to welcome Mark van Kampen from FRIS. I think, Mark, this is perhaps the first time you're joining us on one of these calls. FRIS, of course, in the Netherlands, has been a member for some time. Mark, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Should we begin then, Antonio, if you would, or actually I should say, Jonathan, is there something which you wanted to share at the beginning? Otherwise, Antonio would be next.
No, I mean, if there's time at the end, a couple of thoughts, Daniel, but no, let's dive in.
Okay, great. Antonio, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I wanted to thank you very much for the occasion to speak about the Italian market. The Italian market, as I think most of the market, has been affected by the COVID. And so the market has some I mean, for example, one of the results was in a general speaking, not all industrial stuff, an increase in number of transactions. Last year has been a very good years for residential, even if we don't deal with residential, but has been a very good deal, especially with the countryside, because people try to move outside from the town. To our business, also the COVID has made some change. For example, all the retail market has been quite affected. In some part of the year, especially restaurant, coffee shop, Starbucks has closed 3 over 5 of the position that they have in Milan. So they just opened, they close it, has been for sure affected. And the big mall too, but there is some other part of the market that has been instead positively affected. For example, the logistic today is kind of gold, and there is a huge demand of logistic, especially on the last mile. We don't have a big business in this field, except for one that is our client for 10 years, basically. That is I don't know in English, is the bulk market of vegetable of Brescia. That is a city of 200,000 people, close to Milan. It's not so close, 150 kilometers from here. We assist them for a long time, and we are now to relocate them between Milan and Brescia. But in general speaking, just today, Blackstone closed another 200,000 million of deals, so huge deals. Between me and you, we are not much involved in deals like this. So we are involved more in deals that where you basically, the size of the deal is from 3 to 10 million of euro. And in this kind of deals, we see that the transaction is, there is a quite a good new opportunity. The big demands on this side is the stability of the market. For example, or like of the industrial market in general of the market, because for example, the company that we deal with are in the packaging side. The packaging has done a very good business because most of the product has been sending back forward with packaging, and so the yield in the industrial side has decreased from 2-3 years ago, just because I think there is a big demand of income. I don't know if this will resist much because the interest rate is increased. But still is not so. I mean, is not so evident. But we live last years in a country where if you have money on the bank account, you need to pay the bank. So the liquidity is quite there is a huge amount of money like on the bank account, even of the enterprise, even of the retail. And that is one of the reason that even yield that are not so strong can be attractive. Another business that in this case, I also make a little book with one University of Rome. And also I put little money in a kind of cooperative, is 10 company, including a company that make a swimming pool, a huge that is listed in the Spain market, is to look after the sport field. There is also a reason because the European community decided to invest a lot of money to help the economy to recover in all the infrastructure side. So from technology to street to school, hospital, including the sport side. And in this field, we make a little investment, and we took 2 clients. One is called Sportium, and that was a totally new business, like for us. And it's not really that you sell or buy property, but you basically change a manager of this property. So the business similar to the retail market or to the hotels, where basically the hotels, most of the time you don't sell the property, but you sell the management of the property. Quite similar. So that is one of the market new that we started last years. We also invested a little bit of money. We have the 11% of a company that is licensed to raise money as a crowdfunding for that kind of fields. So for the sports. We did 3 deals, so that is there's not much money, but you go to the newspapers. Quite is like a fancy situation. So from the Italian market, I will say that the market has been quite active. All the figures from also the state see that there is a huge amount of transaction. Like residential, that usually the newspapers speak about over residential, is focusing not only anymore in Milan and Rome as in the past, but as I told you, in all the middle town, and where you can buy for not much money some property. One other element that we need to consider is another allowance from the European Web Community that is based on they give you back money. It's not really like this. They make you discount of tax when you pay tax. If you renovate a building, reducing the energy efficiency of the building. This has made a huge amount of investments, so much that the cost of the product to renovate a building is double from last year's, and basically there was a shortage, a huge shortage, everything that is connected with the production of a house. So the market is quite active. What I see in the risk side of this market, that I see two risky sides. One is the big town, where the price has been increased a lot, especially the new product, even not in the center, has seen the highest price as never. And there is a huge amount of new project that is going to be built in the future. Maybe that is not really my business, but I see some potential of a little bit over construction, especially if the cost of the money a little bit raise up. Today you pay 0.4 for 30 years, so basically nothing. That is the interest rate for residential. On this side, the family are quite invited to take a huge amount of money from the bank if they are a little bit able to pay back. I don't know if the interest rate like raise a little. I think this make not a stop, but can decrease the demand of residential. What the new from our side is that the advisory side of our company increase regarding the evaluation of fixed asset, including not only the real estate, but also the plant and machinery. That was due also from the publication of a book that is this, that was published and promoted by basically the association that we're member, that is part of Tetegova, and this was a new totally a business for us, but maybe has been, I mean, it was quite well, was 1 year very successful on that. So maybe also because we make a partner with the third biggest auditing company in Italy called Pirola, who as a partner of them was used to make fixed asset, and he left and went to Dadaf and Def, that is a US company that is also a competitor for them on the auditing side. I make an agreement with them, so everything that come from the Italian market, they have 2,000 employees, basically. They have a lot of office regarding real estate or fixed asset were involved. So I think that it was a new partnership that was quite successful. That's it. I want to tell you about the two investments. Are really in brown, are like industrial site. This come out from two merger acquisition where the family owner of the company has been squeezed out from the new owner. And this is on this side, the building that they own, where the property was where the enterprise was used to work, are on sale. so we help them to make a nice lease agreement with the company, the running company. And one of the two property basically has been sold already. So the other is on the market, but one is on close to be sold. This is a simple of what we do usually in connection with also the auditing company on the real estate side. So we take care of the property in connection of the acquisition of the enterprise.
Antonio, you mentioned earlier about industrial. May I just go back to that for a moment? What sort of yields? You said they've come down, but what are they now compared to, say, 2 years ago before COVID?
2 years ago, there was about 8%. Today, we are close to a non-asking of 6 point something, and you close at 7. So 1 point less. That seems not much, but a huge about the money is a huge difference. So in 1 year, they closed. The yield went down of 1%, basically.
And
if
in
you
office
is a disaster. I did not speak about office, but I forgot for maybe because it's a little bit a disaster. So I mean, if you speak with investor, they don't say that is a disaster, but because we manage about 20 property in that field. It's not a good moment at all, because basically, even if you make some rebate and they keep to pay, they don't use the building. So it's only a time to understand in future how much percentage of the building they will keep or not. And this also affect our property, our office. I mean, usually we were 15 people, 10, 15, depends on the years. And today, usually in the office there are no more than 3, 4 people, like turning. I mean, sometimes we do 1 week everybody. We like we make some meetings and stuff. But the COVID situation even is not anymore a lockdown. Change a lot the perception to need to come in the office. The people is as preparing his own house, kind of corner, to make a video call, to make a business from there. So the business of the office, I tell you, for example, for this reason, from 2 weeks ago, I share one room of my office for 0 with a company that is a merger that make investment, that buy minority shares of company. They need the office. I have an office. Why I do this? Because to me, it's not a big cost, one room of my office, but we have everything. We have conference room. We have a place where they take coffee and stuff. What I miss is the beginning, like the initiative. I have the same client of 1 year ago. It's not easy to make a new client. It's not easy that the competitor take you out of the client. But what you miss is what you can make in front of a beer. You can be drunk, but also invent something. And I don't know. I make a big party on the 22 of December. I invest about 10,000 euro to make a party. There was at least 100 people like register, show up only 50, 60. And usually I do this every year. So I know a little bit. It was the opposite. So the opposite was that it's listed the 10 and they come up basically 20, 30% more, maybe not in the same moment, but in this time, many people did not show up for be not convinced to not, for the COVID, basically. So the genetic part of the business, I think, is missing. So what I mean is the part where you meet the client not for a specific case, but just to understand how is his business, to share some opinion. That part is totally till not back. I mean, in my life. So
Yeah.
we work a
Antonio,
lot.
it sounds like your market is very similar to the markets of others and the experiences as well. Maybe I can just ask, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask for Antonio? I don't see everyone, unfortunately, so maybe if Jonathan does, if someone has any questions, please go ahead. May I ask Antonio, just to close off this section then, domestic versus international investors, businesses, are you still having, is there more domestic focus than international parties, or international parties coming to look and invest in the Italian market? What about international companies expanding there, contracting as
For
well?
example, we just following Bols, that is a company that is from Holland that sell a big tractor to raise stuff, to move stuff. Is like the huge company from US. You call the company that make basically like tractor, big huge. Bols is from Holland. We are following them to develop a new opening in Italy. Some investor from abroad, they are in the investment market too. So the market is quite open to new investments, and so Patricia, for example, just bought a huge residential property in Milan. Heinz, today is the first investor in all the Italy. Just took 20 logistic project in the last week, and they have invested also in residential, in retail. So the international investors are maybe the anchor of the market, but what I mean, it's something that how you work with international investors is quite different from the past. There is less chance to meet them. You can make a conference, send email, but there is less like a connection. We are still waiting for an exhibition. I mean, I've been to Expo Real last years, but maybe it's the only one that I participated in 1 year time.
Right. Just on new projects coming up, I know that Alistair, you mentioned you were working on something with Ian. Is that something that Ian or Alistair would like to share with us?
I'm happy to make a few statements about it.
Okay.
Sadly, we're NDA'd up to the hilt on it, but something, again, great out of CORFAC. Ian, Charlie, and myself have been talking on a regular basis as to how we can work together. And one of Ian's clients, where he's done quite a bit of work for in Dublin, has an asset in London. It's an office building in Zone 5 in central London. So if you look at your maps, where we're zoned from a transport infrastructure perspective, the tube and the trains, it's in Zone 5. It's in and around, for those that aren't familiar with London, around Heathrow Airport, close to the new Crossrail. This new transport infrastructure that is going east-west from the east side of London to the west side out towards the airport, which should open in June of this year. It's been delayed hugely due to COVID and overruns and so forth, but it will be very dynamic as far as London is concerned. Building's about 85,000 square feet. There's a guide around 27 million pounds, about 325 pounds a square foot. But the interesting thing is it's 80% vacant. So it's a void play. It's a letting play, which will result in quite a significant uplift in capital value. Or for the investor, Initial yield is about 2% after costs, moving to just over 8% once it's fully let, with all of the assumptions carried into the residual value. So it's a really interesting one that we've been working on. It's really nice to be working with some of our partners within the CORFAC family. We worked obviously with you, Daniel, on a few bits and pieces, working with Ian on this one in particular. And if anybody has any investors that are around that sort of 25 to 30 million mark, looking for a building, an office building close to the airport, unlike Antonio's story about that complete disaster on the office side, actually things are picking up here in London. We've had a lifting of restrictions from last night, removal of mask wearing, and there are people gradually moving back into working 3-4 days, in some cases 5 days during the working week. So there's a big drive here to try and live with COVID rather than actually wait for it all to go, because we'll be waiting for a long time before it does. All our markets have been hit really hard, the retail market, the office market. Actually, the industrial market has performed really well, and continues to do so as Amazon grab every piece of square footage that's available. The last mile delivery that Antonio referred to is equally doing well. Rents have more than doubled in the last 12 months. And yields for that stuff has come in from 8-9% into sort of 5.25%. So a very significant capital value shift. But that's our little play, and as I said, we're working with Ian and his team on it. And if anyone's got any ideas or whatever of any investors, we're seeing quite a bit of North American money coming into the UK at the moment, specifically into London, alongside the Asian money and the Middle Eastern money that it comes and goes, it ebbs and flows. Some of that Middle Eastern money is going back at the moment through some sales, but it's a busy international market as well as growing domestic market.
Alistair, can we change the use of the building? Is it near an underground stop? Can it go residential, co-living?
It's part of a bigger area estate that already has a lot of residential and new developments coming through. So this is very much zoned as offices and will remain as offices on the particular estate. So sadly not. I don't know about hotel. I'm not sure there'd be a massive amount of demand for a hotel there. It is close to a Crossrail station. It's within 5-10 minutes walk of a Crossrail station. But I really think it's probably somebody who wants some cheap offices on that line, somewhere around about the £27.50, £29 a foot mark, where the area could have supported £35 to £40 maybe 2 or 3 years ago, three years ago.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, Alistair, you
Worth
said the
looking at.
rents would be what now compared to 25 to 30 pounds?
Rent today is sort of £27.50, but rents in the area would have been significantally higher, sort of pushing towards £40.
40, okay.
You know, pre-pandemic.
Thanks.
But it's a Crossrail story. So the building was bought with a view to basically benefiting from Crossrail, but it was delayed by years. The particular Ian's particular client doesn't want to wait for Crossrail to open and then get the building up and let. They just want out. It's the last of a number of assets that they used to own, and it's really a question of closing the books and selling it. Ian, have I missed anything out?
No, that's a very comprehensive summary, Alistair. Nothing really to add there. I mean, obviously, likewise, it's been great to be able to, introduce the guys in Fairbrother to, to our clients, and have the confidence that you've got somebody in another jurisdiction you can count on. So no, it's been a great great experience from our side, and obviously it suited the client. We'd followed through on the folding down this portfolio in Ireland, and as Alistair says, this is the last asset in this particular pocket of the portfolio. So get it whilst it's hot.
Well, worth, however, looking at the co-living side of it. I mean, where are they working? I'm going to mention in a moment, Antonio, but it sounds like you walk 8 minutes and you're on a Crossrail, and I don't know the figures, but presumably Crossrail in a quarter of an hour, you're in Hanover Square. If there's any life around the building and you don't have to go 8 miles to find a shopping street, bit of life, things to do at the weekend, London's not got any affordable housing left.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking. Anyway, I'd mentioned to Antonio, we're dealing, so I get involved with this fund in co-living in France, but we're now going ahead, hammer and tongs, with the Italian group called Dovivio, who are stars, the second largest in the two largest co-living operators in Europe are both Italian. Would you figure that, eh? There's Habit, based in Berlin of all places, but the entire team are Italians. And then there's Dovivio, based in Milan, I think.
Yeah.
So they're looking at lots and lots of markets. I'm not saying that's them for this property near Heathrow Airport, but it's nice people. They're out to put flags on maps. They want to have lots and lots of addresses. They've already got, I think, 5,000 rooms. It seems to be, I don't know much about it, but there's a lot of Dovivio sites, big buildings in Italian cities.
Yeah.
So they'd like to copy that, and it's really working well for them. And they'd like to copy that in most of the countries that you guys on this call are in.
It's true. It's true. But Covivio is quite active. I hope the business is running well, but yeah, they are also back from one of the biggest investors in Italy. So I think there are no problem of basically cash. So they can wait for long time return.
Yeah.
He's the Luxottica guy that is one of the investors.
So what's the name?
Luxottica is the guy called no, but I guess is the guy that founded the Luxottica. Is the guy that was born without was orphans, start from zero. He's one of the richest guys in Italy, together with Ferrero, the guy of the Nutella.
Yeah. The Italian ambassador, isn't it?
Yeah, but the old guy of Ferrero was funny because 10 years ago was still live with the guy that founded the company, and they asked if we want to buy a company in UK. I don't know, 20 billion. I say, no, I have 90 billion in my bank account. I never take a loan. So I'm sorry, I don't have the money to buy the company. So you never know what is the bank, because it was funny because they never use the loan. They never use the bank. So today is totally different. I think with Ferrero, start to be a little bit more leverage, but come from a family where basically they never spent €1 for interest.
Marina, we welcome you. I think Marina has joined as well from Russia, I believe. There you are. Yes.
Hi, Marina.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Happy to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan, you have a presentation, I believe. Do you on the screen? Is that your screen that we're seeing?
Yeah, no, Jennifer actually is working that. So we've got about 20 minutes left here, and we've got a few properties to go through. So are you guys?
Please, John. Yeah, please.
Okay. And I think yours, Antonio, are the first ones up. if you want to address
Yeah,
these.
this is Popoplast, is a company from Castel San Giovanni. Basically, they are almost 20,000 square meters. And they have the company has been bought from a UK fund, and the old partner are the owner of the building, and the yield is about 6 point something, but it can be around to 7. Some of the property are more recent. One is new, as 1 year and enough. The one that you see on like on the picture has a shape quite not has been built as 6 per property basically. Between them there is also a street, but the industrial site is quite well united, and most of all, especially for the investment that they did for take the precaution against the smoke. They make printing, so for the color that they cannot go in atmosphere with some I don't know the name in English, but basically they have the big filter. They cost a lot, and this is one of the main reasons because Poplast will never move from that building despite any other legal reasons, because the cost of the plant machinery is huge to like relocate somewhere else. And the place is the place to be for the connection. Is Castello San Giovanni is where Amazon is based, is based in Italy. If you can go down a little bit, I show you the other property.
How long are the leases? Does it say here?
On the Castello San Giovanni, they change. There are 5 different leases. So basically, about 6 years lease plus 6. In Italy, 6 plus 6. So basically, there is no right to early terminate the first terms. You need to wait the second. So basically, it's 12 years. This is less attractive, but is more one lease, and is very close to Milan. Is a company that is active in the basically cutting iron, like iron, and the building are more like a more recent. Even one of them is about 50 years old, but 2 of them are very new. And this property can be maybe buy out from the same company that is running today the business, that is Officine Metalmeccaniche. In any case, is also in this case there are all the like means that they need for cutting, for they have also huge nice office. I did not put the picture, but they have also a part of the office very nice, and is at 20 kilometers from Milan, so it's very close to Milan. It can be reconverted in future quite easily if they never will left the property. So I done with my 2 presentation.
Antonio.
Yeah. Thanks, Antonio. I think Ian is up next. Is that what we have?
Oh yeah, that's one of mine. Yeah, so this is, I mean, again, just sort of capitalizing on the Dublin office market here, and then picking up on some of the things that Antonio was saying about environmental concerns amongst investors, especially. So this is an office block in suburban Dublin. The market here is still very, very hot. We're seeing a lot of activity from large tech companies. So Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok have all acquired, hundreds of thousands of square feet of space across the city recently. And I mean, the largest issue I think they all have is kind of poaching each other's staff. So the market has remained very buoyant, and a lot of the tech occupiers are starting to move out from the city centre, the CBD, into the suburbs. We're marketing this building at the moment, so it's currently 33,000 square feet in old money, so that's about 3,500 square meters. It has a planning consent to reuse the existing structure. So I'm trying to advertise this on the basis of, there's a lot of embedded carbon, and it does all the right things for the environment by, reusing the existing structure rather than, having to knock that and build new structure. That said, clearly there are compromises, just in relation to floor to ceiling and whatnot. So our client has got a planning consent to expand the building, which essentially adds an additional story and puts a new sort of amenity block on the front of the building. There's a CGI there. This particular location is home to Zurich Insurance, have just opened their headquarters close by. There's a whole pile of transport links and all the rest of it. So really, I suppose for anybody who's looking to kind of get into the Dublin market, it's as a sort of more of a value add proposition. It's a nice starter building. I think we've got the web address on there somewhere. Yeah, there's a web address there. So should any of you be particularly interested, have a visit, and we gladly talk some more. What's the next one? Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, please. I had a brief question because you mentioned that the tech companies are moving to suburbs. Is this a trend, or this is a part of the advantages of this property? Because we have this question on the top of.
Yeah, up until recently, the tech companies have all located together in the South Docks here. So there's one particular area of Dublin.
We follow the market, and we have seen some companies coming to the center.
Sorry, you're just breaking up a bit there. We previously the tech companies had all located together in one part of Dublin, but what we've seen now is them spreading out. So Meta, who is everybody knows as Facebook, their new headquarters, which is 800,000 square feet, is in Balls Bridge. So that's separate. That's away from the Docklands area where the tech companies have traditionally located. So we are seeing them all sort of move away from each other. I don't know if some of that is to do with staffing, but then also what we've also seen is the tech companies here operate on a model where you have employees who are employed by Google and are direct Google employees, and then you have a lot of people on contract. So a lot of the content moderation, the sort of grottier end of working for a tech company, if you will, is done by contract staff, and they seem to keep the contract staff in buildings away from the main headquarters. Generally speaking, those buildings are of lesser quality as well. So there's no Google. There's a thing in Dublin, the Google Stone, because of all the free food they get. Everybody puts a stone on when they join. I'm not sure that's a phenomenon amongst the contract staff. They're probably losing weight. But yeah,
Okay,
no,
thank
so
you.
we have seen them spread out.
This is interesting.
That's all right. So the next one, really, this is just a bit of a pain from my perspective. We had an early on this portfolio of 3 retail parks. I had a strike price for it. I had a client to buy it, and it was all going swimmingly. And my client told me at the end of last week they were no longer proceeding with the transaction because for some reason they wanted to concentrate on something else in the UK. So, so we'd noticed, there's been a definite uptick amongst sort of private equity type buyers attracted to retail as an income proposition. So really, these are parks that of retail parks that are well let. They've been through the mill, obviously, through COVID, but they're kind of restabilized. Ireland is completely opened up. Our restrictions have all been removed at this stage, so we're seeing an influx of private equity buyers who are really buying retail as an income play. So there's no great expectation of capital appreciation. Just as you can see there, these things are throwing off an income yield of double-digit income yield, and that alone is enough to make them attractive. Clearly, once you've introduced a bit of gearing, the cash on cash on these things is very, very attractive indeed. So anyway, the portfolio is now coming up through our friends in the green machine. And as I had been concentrating on my one buyer, I'd obviously not had the opportunity to introduce it to anyone else, and now having been let down, have nobody for it. So really, it's an appeal for help. If anyone's got an income buyer, stick this their way and see if they're interested. I've oodles of maths on it. And then the final one is, just again, it's just another Dublin office. There's a lot of overseas interest in Dublin offices. So I thought it was worth kind of mentioning as a sort of typical example. So this is in Ballsbridge. This is pretty much next door to the Facebook headquarters. It's pretty well let. The sort of tenant lineup is sort of IBM. Those sorts of companies, and it would be 4.5%, which is a sort of slight discount to the prime yield here, and that really reflects the age of the buildings. So it's good quality, kind of, there are potential opportunities to add more space to the buildings. But I suppose I'd really just included it as a, more for people's interest just on the office market and the way it's gone here. And, the reason this is trading at a discount to the full prime yield, which is probably about 3.9, really rotates around ESG and the fact that the energy rating of these buildings is not as good as a brand new building. So there does seem to be a market discount in pricing now for ESG reasons. So I think that's all the ones I sent in.
That looks very interesting there. Ian, when I left you in November, we went over on a fact-finding mission for this trip, and I bring sort of 200 French property businessmen to Dublin. We're going to do it in June. I went along to see iPut around the corner in St. Stephen's Green. So they're very, very, very good people. Very, very impressive. Do you remember that? You might have seen at Expo Real, there was an iPut stand. Did anyone see that? So I'd been trying to phone the chairman of IPUT, I'm trying to think of his name, who'd never returned my calls. And there he was at in Munich on the stand with no one talking to him. So I cornered him, got an appointment, and then went to see. He wasn't actually available that day, but for what it's worth, they're allowing us on my little trip. We're going to go around the tropical fruitware office building in the Docklands. I think, well, what I can tell you, this is a great location. This is the Neuilly-sur-Seine of Dublin. It's a posh neighborhood, and really quite close to the center, but it's got lots of things going for it. Presumably in this case and your previous one with the 3 retail centers, you suppose that here, of course, Savills here and CBRE on the other one, they've done all the French buyers. They've done, it's so obvious, isn't it? They've done Amundi, Primonial.
But possibly. I mean, this is the thing: is you know, you never know how much the European networks of these firms actually talk to each other. And given that these are sort of slightly smaller lot sizes, you know, they're kind of sub 100 million. You know, they perhaps don't get the attention on a pan-European basis that some of these might. So, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'd say it's worth mentioning, you know, to any domestic funds that you guys have, you know, because, yeah, as I say, it's not always clear to me how keen the various offices are to help each other out of the larger firms.
That's the advantage of CORFAC, because coming from the international business of Jones Lang LaSalle, you don't talk a lot to the other offices because they want half your fee. And that's a very good reason for no work at all. So well, if you like to, I'd be happy to get details on this or both. I mean, let's try both. They're different categories of items, but send them gently to a group of people. Particularly, I go back to, I'm part of a network called the Club de l'Immobilier. Ian knows all about us, very kindly sponsoring us there, is that we get on we get a plane every 2 years. When we fly somewhere, you can get there in the daytime and come back. So on this plane, we'll have 200 people, we'll have valuers, brokers and everything else, but we'll have about 30, 40 clients. And we're sort of drinking heavily from takeoff at 6 in the morning at Charles de Gaulle. And we get back to Charles de Gaulle at about 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, the following morning. So we have a lot of time to talk about this building. If not before.
Ian, can I ask a question? How much income's on the one in Bulls Bridge, the one on the screen? Is there enough? Is it like 3 years left or whatever it is on term? And then
the walt's actually okay. I think it's about 7 years. Like, it's across 3 blocks. So I think the front block, which is entirely IBM, I think there's about 4 years left on that. But the income certainty is a bit better on the other 2 blocks. So that's kind of why, you know, if that front block comes back from IBM, you know, you're looking at a refurb. As you can see, kind of see in the picture, it's a bit lower lying than the other block. So you might be able to add a floor, you know, so there's a bit of value to be added, but it's one of those ones where it's not, you know, those opportunities aren't immediate. And you know, they would kind of, you know, just take place over time.
Yeah. But you got enough time on the ESG credentials to work it up, so
exactly,
make it because no fund will really buy that at the moment because that's their rules, but any propco might. So I've got an idea. Do you want to ping it over a bit more detail and then or whatever, send me that and I'll send it over to the client and copy you in.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanking you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're coming up to the end of our time. And there's just a couple of announcements which I'd like to make, and that is for some upcoming CORFAC events. Las Vegas, of course, the CORFAC Spring Conference is March 2nd to 5th in Las Vegas. And of course, the Dublin Summer affiliate meeting is going to be July 12th. It'll begin with a dinner on July 11th. The meeting will be July 12th. And then from July 13th to 15th, the SIOR group has their conference at that time. We also
Daniel,
wanted to mention, sorry?
Sorry, Daniel, can I just jump in? I was looking at the SIOR dates. On the 13th, I don't think really anything much is happening. It's just an evening event. I'm wondering whether the date could shift for
We
the
will-
CORFAC one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The idea is, of course, we will refine it, but the idea is, of course, to push them right up against each other to make it
Yeah.
suitable time.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. Thank you, Charlie.
A straw
And,
poll, anyone here going to Las Vegas? And perhaps
Yeah.
how many people would think to go to Dublin? I mean, nice to know what I'm.
I guess that from our side, we plan to join. I'm not oh, yes, you can hear me. Yes, so I'm not sure that all of us who planned will come. It's most now the question of the vaccination, because part of the people have vaccinated here in Russia, and there are some requirements that you have to be vaccinated in Europe. So mostly for right now, we have only this issue, but as I guess, there will be someone from Brightridge. So we look forward to join it.
At both events, Las Vegas and Dublin.
Yes, but we will try. We will see how it will works, and I guess that in the nearest time I will let to know to Jonathan and to others if we are able or not. But for us right now, it's mostly the question about all these requirements and restrictions.
Right. Well, maybe, Jonathan, would it be an idea just to send an email around just so that we can get an idea of who's coming, and that will certainly be able to strengthen the international representation at the at each meeting, in particular Las Vegas, and then of course Dublin, where we're maybe a bit closer to home for many people.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Daniel, and we'll send you all something shortly along with the link for this recorded session, which I hope you all enjoyed. I know Antonio's gone, but thanks to Antonio for doing it, and great exchange on some of the properties. And but yeah, I'll send you a note and just with some specific questions, and if you can answer them, great.
Great. And then lastly, just to close, we have this format. The concept is that every 2 months, the last Thursday of every second month, we'd have this opportunity to spend an hour together. We're more than welcome and more than happy to hear your ideas for how best to use this time. We're also going to think of some ideas as well, but it's great at least to see everyone, and thank you very much everyone for attending. We'll provide the link as well as a little bit more, a few updates as well from Jonathan. Thank you very much for attending.
It was great to see you all. Bye-bye.
Yes, happy to see everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.